Hi everyone, Mrs. Olson here. Today's lesson is called Hey King, Get Off Our Backs. So first of all, what we're going to do is look at the learning target. And it reads, summarize the reasons for colonial discontent. So we're actually starting in U.S. history before we became a nation, when we were a colony, hence the word colonial. And we're going to start off reading, and then I've got a bunch of questions that match the reading. Okay? So we started off the year with studying geography and kind of getting our wheels going with our geography knowledge. And one of those things that I had you do with geography was to draw a map of the United States and to freehand that. I kind of wanted to see where you guys were at as far as your geographical knowledge of the United States, since this is United States History 8.1, well, for 8th graders. So the first thing that we are going to do is to look at the reading document. So I have it pulled up here, and you can see that it is titled, Hey King, Get Off Our Backs. So let's put this into context a little bit. The people that are saying, Hey King, get off our backs, are the colonists that had come from Europe, mainly Britain, and they were trying to get away from the King of England. So, hey, King, get off our backs. Those are the colonists saying, leave us alone. We want to be able to rule ourselves. So you are going to start out reading these first few paragraphs, and I am going to scroll down. It gives you background information about where they were coming from and why they were leaving Britain, the kind of conditions that they were living under, and the rules that they had to follow in England. Okay? So I'm going to say, do not forget to read these little things that are off to the side or captions under pictures, even if it's a political cartoon. You guys want to make sure that you're paying attention to those, because it kind of adds a little something extra to the material that you are reading about, okay? So right here it goes, you don't mind if we, so here you're going to start to see the colonists come up with some rules that are really about living in America and not having to pay attention to the rules from the King of England. So I'm going to keep scrolling right here. And just to give you context and kind of a preview of what's to come, you can see that this paragraph is subtitled, We're Doing Just Fine, Thanks. We don't need you to rule us and tell us what to do over there in England. Here again, pay attention to, there we go, pay attention to the graphics that are inside of the reading document. Even though this one's a little bit small, you should be able to make out what it is. The title of this one is The 13 British Colonies, and you will notice that they say Maine, New Hampshire, New York, Pennsylvania, so on and so forth. Those became states. Maybe even some of you have been there, lived there, visited. I don't know, you tell me. Okay. I'm going to ask you a question that is somewhat pertaining to this box right here. So again, I know it sounds redundant. Make sure that you're paying attention to these boxes, because this box is going to give you maybe an idea of how to answer one of the questions in the assignment. Okay? And scrolling down, there's another page. Okay. This is about a law that the colonists did not want to follow because they were being taxed really heavily from Britain. And so you're going to want to pay attention to that one, of course. And then there are a couple of other laws, acts. Another name for a law is an act that you are going to find, especially in this last paragraph here. So the very last sentence, it says colonists called these the intolerable acts. All of this information that comes before this last sentence is about the intolerable acts. So when you get to that question in the assignment, you know that you can find the answer right here. Okay, so I'm going to flip over to the assignment, and of course there's a link in IA Campus for you. So there's the reading document, here's the assignment, and let's look at the learning target again. And redundancy, I suppose, in teaching has a little bit of a purpose so that you hear the same thing over and over again. Makes it stick in your head, even though it might be annoying. So learning target is, again, summarize reasons for colonial discontent. So the United States, the 13 colonies were colonies. They were not states yet. And the United States as a country really hadn't been born, if you will. It didn't exist. They were just the 13 colonies that belonged to Britain. And so having read the reading document, Hey King, Get Off Our Backs, in completing this assignment, you should be able to summarize the reasons why the colonists were so unhappy, why they were feeling this discontent. Okay, so here we go. Here's the entry task. Always do the entry task, guys. It's at the top of all of your assignments, and it's supposed to get your brain going with what you are going to be doing for the lesson. So the entry task says to write a capital C or a capital U, and the capital C is if you believe this statement or one of the 5 statements there to be constitutional, and then a U if you believe it to be unconstitutional. So let's do a quick review, hopefully, of the words constitutional and unconstitutional. So Constitution, we're going to be learning about, is a document, a set of rules that we live by as Americans, right? So the word constitutional means that you believe that it is lawful, that it is okay. And then unconstitutional, it is not lawful, it goes against the Constitution. Okay, so once again, you're reading this statement. You are placing a C if you believe that statement to be constitutional, okay by law, or a U, unconstitutional, if you don't think it is okay by the law. All right, and then scrolling down, it says that you're going to use the reading that we just talked about. Please write your answers with complete sentences, and then always write with a different font and or a different color, because that allows me to see what you have written compared to my text here. Okay? So some of these are going to be quite easy. You'll be able to think of them just like that without having to refer back to the reading. But I want you to be able to use the reading when you're doing these questions, okay? So you can see the first couple here, who is famous for saying the quote, "Give me liberty or give me death." That's at the top of the reading. And then here I have asked you to actually open up another internet window to help you do these definitions. Okay, so let's scroll down to the next part, and I kind of gave you a preview of this question, which says, read the scenario in the blue box with the house. Think how that would feel if it had happened to you. So I want you to put yourself in the shoes of the colonists who are being told what to do by the King of England, and kind of think about what it would be like to have maybe your mom telling you what to do later on when you're an adult. Okay, and the 5th question here says 4 of the intolerable acts are discussed in the reading. This is the one at the end of the reading document where there's a pretty chunky paragraph at the end, and inside of that paragraph is where you are going to find those 4 intolerable acts. And I said, write the name of each of them. So the name, example, the Stamp Act is one of them, and summarize their impact on the colonists. So summarize, make it kind of short, a sentence or 2, on how those laws, act and law is the same thing, how those laws had an effect or an impact on the colonists. All right, guys, hope you learn a little bit about what it was like to be a colonist in the 13 colonies. And make sure that you are always remembering what the learning target is. Summarize the reasons for colonial discontent. You want to be able to explain why the colonists were unhappy. All right, get to work and let's see what you've got. Bye.